Hi, and welcome to Beauty Behold Beauty Transitions. I'm Jill Foster, your host, and today we have a wonderful guest with us. Her name is Hope Royster, and she is the owner and creator of L'Amour Du Noir. I'd like Hope to take this opportunity to introduce herself. So welcome, Hope. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Hope. I live in Newark, New Jersey. I reside in Newark all my life. I work for L'Oreal USA. I'm a mother of two, husband. I have been married for 13 years. And that's who I am.
Well, that's nice to know about you. So you work for L'Oreal, and you're originally from Newark, and you have this amazing business called L'Amour Du Noir. And I want to know, how did you get started with L'Amour Du Noir? But first off, what does that name mean? How did you come about establishing that name for your company?
Well, I came up with L'Amour Du Noir with a product associated with my job. L'Amour simply means black, love. And I said, oh, I want to take this and implement this because it was nice. It was beautiful to me. And it sounded nice. French, L'Amour, meaning life, happy, and Noir, Du Noir, meaning black, love. And so that's how I came up with the name of L'Amour Du Noir.
Yeah, and you know what? When I think about our culture, I think it's a beautiful name because we are black. And when you think about the love portion, we are black love. So it's an incredible name. And it is all about fashion and styling and that sort of thing. That's what's under your umbrella. Can you speak to how you got into fashion? What was the spark? What happened to you? Just coming up, growing up, that made you love fashion? What was the seed?
Well, I always loved fashion. I always have a passion for fashion. That was always a zeal of mine. Also seeing other women wearing fashion, it was just an excitement that I had that was embedded in me. So I became a personal stylist, a personal shopper on top of that, beginning to see different women, different styles, different looks. And for me, a lot of women were not aware of how to wear the proper foundation up under their clothing, and how it would look, how they proceeded to be. And so when I came up with L'Amour Du Noir, I started receiving clients that I do styling personal one-on-one and asking them, hey, what do you want me to do? Well, why am I here for you? And they simply wanted me to do something different that they're not accustomed to doing. So that's how I began getting into styling. It's been over 20 years plus for that. It's been about 7 years now for L'Amour Du Noir, and how I came about that doing my own thing, because I was working behind the scenes at New York Fashion Week, and a colleague of mine said, hey, Hope, why don't you do this on your own? Why don't you, take heed and do it on your own? So I thought about it, and I came about it. I said, okay, let me try it, and it has been going well ever since.
That's wonderful. You hit on something that you worked behind the scenes in New York Fashion Week. So you've done your groundwork. You've gotten, hands-on experience and learning what it takes to put on a production. And that's exactly what you do. You put on productions. Another thing that I understand in your answering my last question is that there are a lot of women who look up to you because of your fashion. And that, to me personally, I think that would start by admiring what I see. So with that being said, that's a compliment to you to be able to style other women, and they come to you for that. But one thing about your style that I noticed is that you have a signature. Anybody that knows you, you have a signature. And that is topping off your outfits with a hat. It could be any type of hat. It could be a material-made hat, leather-made hat, felt hat. Different styles. It's just not a fedora. How did you come about that signature, and why? What does that represent in your world?
represent, for me with hats, it started off with ministry. Growing up being Pentecostal in church, and you always have to cover your head. It's just a ministry thing, a church thing, being Pentecostal, of a covering. And so as I start getting, not really totally getting out of church, but wearing things on the outside, and I said, okay, if I had to do this, I'm going to do something fashionable. So that's where my hats came in at. It could be different types of hat, different makes of hat. As long as it was a hat, it was my go-to of a covering. And I can just dress it up, and it made me feel more comfortable on what I'm doing and how I'm looking as well. And this is another sort of accessory as well.
Yeah, it is an accessory. It's sharp. I love it. And I wouldn't even recognize you on the street if I saw you without a hat on. I'd probably just walk right by you. But with that being said, you being in the fashion industry, working behind the scenes, you work with a lot of designers, and you've also, being the fashion guru that you are, you're into all of the labels and the name brands that all of us as Black people in our culture love to sport. What are your favorites? What is your top-notch designer where you love the way their materials, the way they're stitching, and that sort of thing with a designer? Who is your top-notch designer?
My top-notch designer will be Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, YSL, all of them actually. I love them all, but for me, my go-to is Gucci.
Okay, so Gucci comes out on top.
Yeah.
It's been like a wonderful segment here speaking to you, but we got more to talk about, so you don't go anywhere, and viewing audience, you don't go anywhere either. Let's put a pin in it, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Beauty Behold Beauty Transitions. Before we went on break, we were speaking with the lovely Hope Royster of L'Amour Du Noir. Hope, welcome back. I have a question. You mentioned before we went on break that you work behind the scenes, New York Fashion Week, and that kind of set you on a trajectory to do your own thing. I'm curious, and I'm hoping the viewing audience is curious as well, to know, what was your first show like, your first fashion runway show like? When did it happen? You know, give us the deets.
My first runway fashion show happened, I would say 4 years ago. And how it came about was a local or a friend of mine came to me and said, "Hey, Hope, I want you to help me." She wanted to do a movie. And in the movie, she wanted to be part of a fashion show. So I said, "Well, what part do I play in?" And she said, "I want you to do a fashion show." And, you know, she can do recordings to make the movie within the fashion show. So I agreed. Long story short, the movie didn't happen, but my fashion show happened. And that was the spark of it all. It kicked off. I had a setting of 400 people plus people. It was located at the Hollywood and Hillside, New Jersey. And it was just a kickoff from there. I didn't have many designers. I had one designer. And how I did this show, I went old school. I had most of all of my models come out to wear their own clothing. So with their own clothing, they had to come to me one by one and show me what they're wearing, show me what it is they put together for different scenes. I have like about 10 different scenes that I have made up, and explain to them what did each scene mean to me. So as they did that, that's where my styling came in at. I had to style them and tell them, no, this doesn't go with this, put this with this, or, you know, place this with this or place this with that, just to make it pop. And I had the whole show like that, and it was a blast. It was wonderful. The models were great. The show came up. The one designer that was there, which she was out in the back scene, she put some pieces in as well. But overall, everything went nice. It was beautiful, and that just sparked me from then. And I kept going and kept going and kept going, leading up to my next show, which is coming up for May 20th. That's going to be located at the DoubleTree Hotel in Newark, New Jersey, off of Frontage Road. The designers I have there is the House of SALIMAH versus the House of Tyrone Sablis. When I say versus, it's not a competition thing. It's just out of love and unity. Just everyone coming together out of peace and love with fashion on the runway, with two different sparks of two different wonderful designers.
Well, you know what? One thing that you said was that your first show, you had about 400 people.
Yes.
I think that you had tapped into your gift because to start off that large just goes to show you the feat that you were able to manage.
Yes.
And it also speaks to how much you learned and how much you paid attention and was involved in behind the scenes at New York Fashion Week shows, because my goodness, I don't know anybody that starts off their first show with 400 people. But I know that you put on a wonderful, wonderful production, because I had the pleasure of doing your makeup for your birthday, your last birthday celebration, which was a fashion extravaganza, if I don't say so myself. But yeah, so I know that your upcoming show is going to be really, really a great one. We'll talk more about that in detail before we wrap the show. But moving forward with all that you do, and you do it well, obviously, who do you have any mentors, both professionally and personally, that you can talk about what they may have, the advice they may have given you, or what they may have done to help elevate you? Can you just share with us who they are and what they've done?
My one special mentor is my pastor, my go-to. She's a woman also, located out of Bloomfield. She's one of my mentors, my high mentors that I go to behind the scenes, getting advice spiritually, mentally, physically, advice. My mom also, but my biggest mentor is my husband. Whereas though he pushed me through everything, even when I start doubting myself, he'll bring me back up. So he's one of my biggest mentors and helpers, I must say.
That's wonderful. Having your, being married and having a husband and then having one that's so involved in your success and what you do and encouraging you is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It makes for a power couple, so to speak. I know L'Amour Du Noir he's just invested in that as you are. So that's great that you have that. Moving forward, okay, I'll get a little bit more involved in asking you questions about your event that's coming up. You had mentioned that there are two designers. It's SALIMAH, the House of SALIMAH Designs, and then CHABLIS Designs. I'm fortunate enough to be familiar with both of those fabulous designers, and I have to give them their due that they know their stuff, and this is going to be some heck of a show. So with that being said, what's your, do you have a theme for the show that you could just speak to?
It's no particular theme, because each designer has their own spark to them, to themselves, to their design. So I wouldn't consider a theme to it. It's just a fashion show that I choose to put on, a high intel fashion show with a seating of 600 people or more. Nice dinner involved, a nice after show, nice after party involved, that some people would love to do. People come from California. I have guests coming from Texas, Delaware, all over, that comes to support and enjoy the fashion show and setting as well.
Yeah, and so I want you to explain how people can purchase tickets. We don't have to know how much. We just want to know where they can get tickets, and when the show's going to be, of course, And if you could just speak to that a little, that would be great.
The show would be May 20th at the Doubletree Hotel, located in Newark at Frontage Road. You can contact me for tickets, 973-873-5587. As a ticket holder, I can mail, I can meet, I can hold day of show to get your tickets. So if you're looking forward to something nice, a nice event, nice show up, nice red carpet event, it's a place to be for that day.
Okay, so we're gonna come back one more time. This is a great conversation that we're having with L'Amour Du Noir owner, Hope Royster. So let's stick another pin in it and we'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back to Beauty Behold Beauty Transitions. She's still here. Hope Royster is still here with me. We're going to dig a little deeper with her and all about her wonderful business, her 501c3, and called L'Amour Du Noir. So welcome back, Hope. How are you? Had a good break, and just want to ask you, coming back, if you could give advice to individuals who want to walk in your footsteps, you know, they might want to become a stylist, they might want to become a producer of a big production like you put on. What type of advice would you give them? Can you speak to some of the components or things that people would have to know in order to make for a successful show, or even become a successful stylist?
Yes. My number one thing I would say, becoming and doing your own production in the show, know your designers, know your clothing, know your fabric, know your looks, know DJs, models. You have to get to know the whole production, lighting, the sound, the DJs, the photographers as well. You have to get to know all around the board of what it takes and what's entailed to do a show, and what's the production. What makes the show is the production, and how to lay out the production, and which way to go, and who to appoint to what. So those type of things are very, very important. Your venue is important, the place where you plan on having it. And as far as being a stylist, I would say you have to know a look. You have to know what it takes to be, up to par yourself before styling someone else. That's very important. Knowing the different foundations. When I say foundation, the underclothing that you have on. Some women don't get where as though they can wear certain underwear with certain things, and the look that it gives, or what it proceeds to look like after the finish of getting, styled or being dressed. So all that takes into play. Is very, very important to know what look you're going for, how to get to that look, and then conquering the look. I would say that's very, very important nowadays when it comes to styling.
Yeah, I agree with that, because everything ain't for everybody.
Right.
And I know that in, what I do outside of hosting the show, of doing makeup for women, one look can't always work for another person in terms of the way I may apply makeup to their face. A lot of times, I'll give you an example, like if I do like an eye makeup on an individual, and then another potential client might say to me, I want my eyes to look like that other person's eyes, but they might have, like slanty eyes, or they might have bubble eyes, or, like a different shape in general. And I think that, that the same will apply to women when you're trying to style them. Like one outfit that works well for this shape and body type might not work well for your shape and body type. So that's a great point that people should take home with them, in terms of if they ever want to be a stylist, be aware you know, those differences in individuals and what would work for them and what wouldn't. You mentioned in just in listening to you, your answer for productions, you mentioned something key that I don't think a lot of people think about, but I know like a photographer, a good photographer thinks about this, and that's lighting. You know, that's a housekeeping rule, for lack of a better way of describing it. When it comes to production, you can have all the elements and you don't have that lighting, it's gonna go flat. Yeah. So that's also good advice as well. I wanted to ask you though, are you self-taught or did you ever go to school for fashion? What's your background in that area?
I would honestly say I'm self-taught. I have an eye for fashion. I have a passion for fashion. I see some things, like you say, everything is not for everyone. I give great advice, honest advice to some people that are willing and open to hear for change and different styling devices. So I'm self-taught. I have seen behind, you know, different styling, different people and going different places and different settings that I have set up under with styling with other stylists. So I would say self-taught plus learning, going along the way, what's the do's and the don'ts. That will be an honest answer for me.
Oh, that's great. That's great that you're self-taught. That tells me that it was an innate gift in you that you just uncovered, you know, because some of us do have deep-rooted gifts that God has passed on to us by God himself. And even with me with makeup, you know, I did it all my life. I did go to school just to become certified, just to learn a little bit more, but it was innately a gift that I had. So just know out there, viewing audience, that you too can do all of this being self-taught. But don't forget what Hope Royster shared with us, that you need to go out there and get your experience. You know, you got to crawl before you walk, and she did a great job at that. Okay, with us winding up, Hope, I don't want you to go without sharing how people can get in contact with you.
Yes, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram of Hope Michele Royster. That's my best source of content.
Okay, and just to top it off again, you're going to be having a show when?
May 20th, 2023.
Okay, so she's having her L'Amour Du Noir fashion runway event on May 20th of this year. So make sure you reach out to her to be able to participate in that production, or you know, just be in the audience, enjoying the festivities. Okay, is there anything more that you have in the future that you're going to be doing?
Yes, I will honestly say I'm looking into getting charm school, a L'Amour Du Noir charm school. Just basically teaching people or showing people etiquette, women more say, proper etiquette of proper wearing an undergarment, different type of clothing, different looks. So yeah, looking forward to doing that little charm school.
Okay, there's one other thing. I would be remiss if I don't have you tell us again, who are the designers that's going to be a part of your upcoming production?
I have the House of SALIMAH versus the House of Stylist, and I also have a designer that goes by the name of Act.
Okay, well, I'm going to be in VIP, so I'll be there. Thanks again, Hope, for joining us today on Beauty Behold, Beauty Transitions. And as I say in my closing, always, stay beautiful.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
you.